When a doctor arrives and tests your pulse, he will say he is clinically dead. Clinically dead. Many saints have been buried like that. Bodies of many saints have been cremated, taking it for granted that they are already dead. What is the sign of life? Breathing. When breathing stops, what happens? You are supposed to be dead. And foolish people who are ignorant of the state of samadhi, they consider the saint who is in samadhi state, who is in turiya atita state, they consider the saint as dead and take the body, go to the cremation ground and they cremate it. And the saints come to Vallalar and says, we are afraid to enter into your land because when we are practicing yoga and enter into Turiyatida state where even breath is suspended, your foolish people by mistake could get us cremated. And Swami says, he comforts them, he gives them solace. No sir, when the days of Sanmarga are reigning in the world, people will be exposed to this fact. So, you don't have to worry about entering into your samadhi state. So, we should be able to differentiate between Turiyam and Turiyadidam. Okay, now you understand? Turiyam is the fourth state of consciousness. Turiyadidam is the fifth state of consciousness. Now, when we transcend the 36 tattvas, we attain the state of Siva Turiyam. Siva Turiyam, the blissful state of Siva Turiyam was attained by Saint Tirumular and other Siddhas. And Swami Vallalar was given by God 7 more states of consciousness. The entire history of mankind, the entire spiritual world, in no other book I find these 7 states of consciousness mentioned, nor explained, nor given details. Swami explains all these states from 37th to 43 states. What is the first one? Siva Turiya Atidam, Sutta Siva Jakrat, Sutta Siva Swapna, Sutta Siva Sushupti. What is meant by Jakrat? Wakeful state. What is meant by Swapna? Dream state. What is meant by Sushupti? Sleep state. What is meant by Turiya? The witnessing consciousness. What is meant by Turiyadida? Samadhi state. And Sutta Sanmarga Suhanilai. That is the ultimate state of bliss. No man has ever gone beyond these 43 states. No Freud, no Jung, no Ken Wilber, no transpersonal psychologists have known these 43 states of consciousness. When you have reached this 43rd state of consciousness, you have attained the ultimate state of consciousness. There is no further state of consciousness as far as knowledge is concerned. Nobody has told me so. Nobody has revealed any further state of consciousness. And all these 43 states of consciousness are named, described with all its details by Swami Vallalar in his Thiruvarutpa, its latest scripture. You can find all of them. We are going to see all these 43 states of consciousness in detail later. Now, for your information, for this, as far as this class is concerned, we should know that there exists the possibility of attaining 43 states of consciousness. It is our birthright. Now we have known the names, and later we have to experience these things. Just by knowledge, we are not going to do anything. So we have to transcend all these 43 states of consciousness. Then what happens? Then you could see the God in the form of the light of total compassion or Arutperunjodi. When you have seen the Lord of Arutperunjodi, what happens? Lord Arutperunjodi descends into your body. Not descends, he is already there in your soul. And what happened to Vallalar in 1874, on the 30th of January, it is going to happen to you also when you are confronted with Arutperunjodi. First, your Atman will be transformed into Arut Perunjodi, and then your soul will be transformed into Arut Perunjodi, your mind will be transformed into Arut Perunjodi, and finally this fleshly body will also be transformed into Arut Perunjodi. That was what happened to Swami Vallalar. So all the four things, body, mind, soul and spirit, they will be all totally transformed into light of compassion, light of wisdom. That is the ultimate attainment possible for anyone. Not only for human beings, even for gods. That is supposed to be the ultimate state. So, when do you attain permanent and once for all, permanent awakening, total awakening? When you have tasted the 43rd state of consciousness, not before. Now, do you understand the implication? Why we have to understand these 43 states of consciousness? When you have attained the 43rd state of consciousness, you are permanently awakened and all sleep leaves you. All stains, all anava, maya, karma, everything leaves you. You have attained the stature of God the Father. Psychologically, philosophically, mystically. This is the only way to attain. This is the only explanation possible. Now, it's already 7:30. We have seen the theory part of it. Now we are going to enter into the practical aspect of it. Now practicals. This is not only a lecture, it's also a demonstration. Psychologically, we should know what is meant by getting rid of sleep. What happens when you get rid of sleep? This is what psychologists say. You must understand it. Otherwise, you will fall sick. You might go mad. You might become mentally retarded. I think nobody wants to do that. Does anyone want it? No. No one wants to get mentally retarded. See, arousal means awakening. The psychological term for awakening. Awakening is the spiritual term and arousal is the psychological term. See, arousal. What are the degrees of arousal or awakening? At the bottom, you have got coma. A man or woman who is in coma, there is no arousal. It is total sleep. If you talk to him, he will not listen. If you pinch him, he will not feel it. There is no communication between you and a person who is under coma. And next comes deep sleep. Deep sleep is as bad as coma. And then light sleep. To some extent, sleep or darkness of consciousness is reduced. And then dream. At least some activity is there. In the dream state, some activity is there. Though it happens to be a function or motion of the mind, some activity is going on, dream. And then awareness. You get up from the dream, from the sleep, and you are in the wakeful condition and you are aware of your circumstances. Now you are aware of me and you are aware of this hall. In the same way, awareness means attention sent outside, focused in the external world is called awareness. And the next stage, what is that? Self-awareness. Self-awareness. All of you are self-aware. All human beings are gifted with self-awareness. Now you are listening to me, this is awareness. What is the reaction to this lecture in your mind? You watch it, just close your eyes and watch it. Do you like it or not? If you like it, it is self-awareness. If you don't like it, once again it is self-awareness. You are aware of yourself. You are aware of your mind. Isn't it? So, self-awareness and deeply interested in something. What is meant by deeply interested in something? Some people are totally absorbed. See, when Maria sings, she's totally absorbed in her singing. She forgets the world. She enters into her being and she sings from there. So, when you are deeply interested, what happens? Self-awareness increases. Your consciousness goes in, not as in sleep, In sleep, it goes in, but you are not aware of it. You are not conscious of it. But here, she is not in sleep. When she is singing, her awareness, her self-awareness goes inside. She is deeply interested in something and she becomes the thing. It's a form of meditation. The next thing will be Sahaja Samadhi state. So, deeply interested in something. And then excitement. What is excitement? You can see the children being excited, getting excited at the announcement of holidays. They all get excited, When you declare a holiday, you can see the excitement in the faces of children. They are joyous. They feel joyful. So that is excitement. But here is the danger. Here is the danger. When the sensitivity is so much, it could also turn negative. Here, you should be very careful. That anxiety may be born due to oversensitivity. What is anxiety? Something is going to happen and we don't know whether it is going to be pleasant or unpleasant, and your imagination creates anxiety. The date of result has been announced. How does a student feel? He has written the exams well, but somehow he feels anxious. Whether I pass the examination, shall I get through or not? Anxiety remains. See, it is also ultra sensitive, but it is negative in quality. You should be very careful. You should avoid anxiety born of imagination. And then next, terror. Terror. When anxiety increases, what happens? Terror. You find ghosts wherever you go. There are no ghosts. Your imagination creates ghosts. Wherever you go, you see a terror movie, a movie of horror. Then what happens? The child is afraid of ascending the stairs. Yeah. So, what is terror? Terror is imagination tenfold, hundredfold of a thing which is not there. Terror. And finally, panic. Panic. Paranoid. You become a psychotic. Your sensitivity is increased, but in the negative way due to false imagination. So be very careful about your false imagination. Your sensitivity should increase only in the positive way. Your arousal, your awakening should be there, but only in the positive way. You should never lose your willpower. You should never lose your ratiocination, rational faculty. If you lose your rational faculty, what happens? Your false imagination takes over and you could fall into these three traps: anxiety, terror and panic. And here a quotation is given from Shakespeare. Lovers, poets and madmen are of the same mind. See, three people are mentioned. Lovers, poets and madmen. The first two are positive in character and the third one is negative in character. A touch of madness is there in lovers. They don't eat, they don't drink, they don't care about any other people, they care only for each other. Perhaps from the smiles I am seeing, some of you have enjoyed it. Okay. Now, poets. Poets are also mad people. But they are tolerable. At least they are enjoying themselves. But the mad people, they don't know what they are doing. See, this is negative sensitivity. So you have to develop your sensitivity by arousal, by awakening your consciousness, but you should not go in the path of negativity. How to stop our sensitivity from becoming negative? Only by satsang. Please come here daily. Please go to the Ramanashram every day. Sit there for 2 hours of meditation. Be always in the company of wise men. Your sensitivity will be increased. Your awakening, your arousal will be increased, but not in a negative way. You will never fall mentally sick. You will never become mentally retarded. Next. Now, we are dealing with the practical aspect of it. How to reduce sleep. Sleep is darkness. Sleep gives you ignorance. Sleep makes you a dead man. We saw all these things. Now, how to reduce your sleep? That is the most important thing. And I told you, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi never entered into sleep. Not even a wink of it. He would recline on his sofa. He will let his body go to sleep. He will let his mind go to sleep. But he will never allow his soul or Atman go to sleep. He will always retain his consciousness. The body can be allowed to take rest. The mind can be allowed to take rest. But your consciousness, which is an indication of your intelligence of the Atman, should never be allowed to take rest. No rest for your consciousness. If you want to give rest to your consciousness, you will be dead. There is no escape from the death of consciousness. Replace sleep with meditation. See, it's a very tricky thing. I told you, the more number of hours we spend in physical effort, the more sleep this body needs. And the more number of hours you spend with mental effort, once again, this body needs sleep. So, reduce the physical effort as well as the mental effort. And do not reduce the sleep all at once, all of a sudden, in a single day. In the first 6 months, you reduce sleep by 15 minutes. That's the minimum amount. Suppose you are sleeping for 8 hours a day and you put the alarm clock 15 minutes in advance. If you are getting up at 5 o'clock and you put the alarm clock when? At 4:45. 4:45. For the next 6 months, you are reducing the time of your sleep by 15 minutes. And those 15 minutes, you should not lie idle. You should practice meditation. At least chant the Maha Mantra, which is going to be food for the Atman. Mantra is nothing but food for your Atman. If you do that, you will understand. It will develop your intelligence body. It will develop your bliss body. What is mantra? A mantra consists of divine energy. A mantra is given to man by God himself. Arupperunjodi mantra was given to Swami Ramalingam by God himself. So, it is God's breath. It is God's word. When you are taking in God's breath, when you are taking in God's word, what happens? The divine body in you, it will start growing and developing. So, by constantly chanting the mantra with your total being, what happens? You are growing your spiritual body. So, for the first 6 months, you reduce your sleep by 15 minutes and replace the loss of sleep with meditation. After 6 months, you reduce sleep by still more 15 minutes. Another 15 minutes, another quarter of an hour. That is, you set the alarm at 4:30. So, half an hour of sleep is transformed into meditation. Like that, you should reduce your sleep to 3 hours. You should reduce your sleep to 3 hours. 3 hours of sleep are enough. After that, you should be very careful. That is the time limit for the human body. After that, do not reduce it any further for some 2 or 3 years. Get stabilized for 2 or 3 years. After that, you start slowly increasing the time you spend in meditation. Another 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, and finally you arrive at a time of 1 hour of sleep. And Swami says, if you could sleep for 1 hour, your longevity will be 1000 years. You can live to be 1000 years. That is the aim of the Siddhas. 1 hour of sleep and all the hours spent in meditation. And finally, even that 1 hour of sleep can be conquered totally. No sleep. That was what Swami Ramalinga Vallalar did. Thukam tolaindadu Suryan thondrinan. Thukam means sleep. Tolaindadu means once for all. It left my body. It left my mind. It left my soul. It left me totally. The Maya of sleep left me. Ignorance left my mind. Death left me. I became an immortal. The conquest of sleep only will give you conquest of death. Because sleep is a small death and death is a prolonged sleep. Now, Pratyahara. Unfortunately, this Pratyahara is not given enough importance in the systems of yoga. Patanjali Maharishi has given us Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga means 8-limbed yoga. There are 8 limbs in the system of Maharishi Patanjali's yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. And the most important thing is that it is Pratyahara. 5th. What is meant by Pratyahara? Pratyahara means focusing inside. That is the first step. What is the most important second step? Dissociation of the mind from sensory organs. There should be no connection between the sensory organs and the mind. Now your mind orders you to look at it, and you look at it. From where the command comes? From the mind. To whom? To the eyes. And you focus your eyes on that screen. So all the commands come from the mind, and there is communication between the mind and the eyes. This should be cut short. At will, at your volition. Can you do that? That was what Ramana Maharshi was doing. How was he meditating? He will be sitting in a hall like this, as I am sitting here. He will be constantly staring at a far off place at the horizon. But his eyes, though his eyes were looking at the horizon, it did not register anything. His mind, his consciousness had gone deep inside the Atman. There was no communication between the eyes and the mind. This is called, what is that mudra? What is that mudra? You are meditating with open eyes. What is that mudra? No, you should know. Maria? What is it? Sambhavi mudra. So, Maharishi was opening his eyes. He was staring at a far off place, at the horizon. But the sight, horizon, was not registering itself in his mind, because his consciousness was already focused deeply inside on the Atman, on the self, on God inside. So there is dissociation of the sensory organ and the mind at will, which is called Pratyahara. Pratyahara. You can open your eyes and still start sleeping. This is what the fish do. The fish, they are always swimming in the water. So they open their eyes and they stand in a place and they sleep with open eyes. You can also turn into fish doing that. So Pratyahara plays an important role in reducing your sleep. And then Swami says, Melliyadaga thunguga, lesaga thunguga. Sleep lightly. Don't enter into deep sleep. Never enter into deep sleep. How many of you have heard about Leonardo da Vinci, the famous painter who painted Mona Lisa? Good. If you read the biography of Da Vinci, you will find that he was sleeping only 1.5 hours a day. He was a universal genius. He was a painter, he was a sculptor, he was an architect, he was a scientist, He was the first man to draw an aeroplane. And he has invented many artifacts in science. He was a universal genius. He was a poet. He was many things. Hardly lived for 60 years. But the amount of work he has done, not even half a dozen people could do. He was sleeping only for 1.5 hours for a day. And even 1.5 hours, he did not sleep all at once. He will take a cat nap. It is called a cat nap. Just for 15 minutes he will sleep and then he will get up. 6 times he will sleep, and each time he will spend his sleep he will enter into sleep just for 15 minutes. And there is one more man who is not supposed to be a yogi. Swami Sivananda of Rishikesh has come out with a beautiful book of biographies of saints. What is the title? Biographies of Saints. And among the saints, you will find Napoleon Bonaparte. Was he a saint? I was surprised when I saw that. Hey, Swami Sivananda considers this conqueror who was the cause of the loss of millions of soldiers. He wanted to rule all over Europe with the French flag, like Alexander. Alexander was his role model. He wanted to conquer all of Europe, not only Europe. He wanted to conquer Egypt also. His greed for land was so much. But Swami Sivananda considers him as a yogi because he was riding on a horse and he was able to sleep upon the horse. And he will come to a resolution. For the next 5 minutes, I will sleep. Immediately you can hear him snoring. After 5 minutes, he will get up. At will. Can you do that? Can you do that? So, he was able to control his sleep. He was a yogi. He had trained his mental faculties to such a fine degree. Like Leonardo da Vinci, like Napoleon, there were many people who could summon up the soul force for whatever job they had at hand. Even in worldliness, one could succeed if he could summon up the soul force and the spiritual force and the divine force. So here, sleep lightly, and for men, Swami Ramalinga admonishes to lie on the left side and sleep. Why? When you lie on the left side, your breathing goes through the right nostril, which will strengthen your body. You will not fall sick. For the female members of society, for women, Swami asks you to lie on the right side so that your breathing will go through the left nostril, and sleep at Lalada. This is the ultimate secret. Swami says, God revealed to me the secret with which I could conquer sleep. தூங்காமல் இருக்கும் சூது அறிவித்து. தூங்காமல் இருத்தல் means not falling asleep. Sudhu means secret. And God revealed this secret to Vallalar. What is that secret? Laladathil தூங்கே. What is meant by Laladam? What is meant by Laladam? It is the Ajna Chakra. Being a yogi, you should know, Maria. See, this is Laladam. This is Laladam. Inside the third eye region, Ajna Chakra is called Laladam. So, when you sleep, you should focus your attention and consciousness where? At Ajna Chakra, Laladam. How to identify it? There are 2 ways. Now we are going to do that since it is practical class. Now please sit erect. This is a bit dangerous. All yoga is dangerous for that matter. But Swami has simplified the process. எப்போதும் சிச்சபையின் கண்ணே கவனம் வைக்க, which means always you should focus your attention on Chit Sabha, And where is Chit Sabha? Below the crown and above the roof of your mouth, that is inside the brain. So immediately at the first stage, you should not focus on that spot. If you focus